they sent me to another school back down in Texas again. It was in San Marcos, Texas, which was a liaison helicopter base. So I went there and I finished that course, and then from there I went to I went to another school. I went to a jet engine specialist school, and they sent me to that one. Anyway, make it a long story. The whole first year I was in the Air Force, I did nothing but go from one class or one school to the other one. And the Air Force is paying for all of this, you know. I was trying to get to Korea. I wanted to go where the action was, and they kept sending me to these different schools. So anyway, after a year went by, I got home, and so when I got done there, schooling, I came home on my leave. I had a 30-day leave. I came home for a month, and then when I went back, they sent me back down to cut it a little bit shorter. They sent me down to Orlando. It was Orlando, which is now just where Disneyland. It used to be called Pine Castle Air Force Base, but it was changed. It was called Pine Castle Air Force Base when I was in there. And then I stayed in that until for about a year. But I was always down there almost a year, and I got transferred again. Opened up another base. That's all I was doing, was going to school and opening up bases. It's the Air Force, and I had nothing but money. So they sent me down there, and where they sent me to was Selma, Alabama. That was the next one. So now I'm in the Air Force 2 years. I'm already in 2 years. I wind up in Selma, Alabama. But you know, that place I didn't like, because it was all a Yankee. Mm-hmm. I'm no Yankee. I'm from Southern California. So anyway, I was there for a while, and I finally figured a way to get transferred out of there, which I did. I got transferred out of there, and I got transferred up to Detroit, Michigan, which was we started a new squadron up there. That's all I was doing, was starting up squadrons and going to school. So I had about a year and a half left now. We started this new squadron. It was the 13th Fighter Interceptor Squadron, and I started that one, and I stayed there for a year and a half, and then I eventually that's where I finally got discharged from there, and I went home. So I got discharged from there. I went back to California. So I'm cutting out all the things that happened when I was in the Air Force, but that's a whole other thing. So I came home, and I was trying to get a job working on airplanes, and I wasn't working out too good, because all the WW2 guys had already come home, and they were taking up all the jobs. So I went on a job, and I took a job at lathing. I was going to become a lather and plasterer. I took that. And when I was going out, bouncing around town, I met a couple of guys from Jersey. They came in. A guy named Paulie, and another guy named Such. We were hanging around together, and another guy was Carmen Brindisi. These are all the Jersey boys. They came out. So we started bouncing around together. We were all single. I was single then, and I was lathing. And in those days, they used to pay construction. Really paid good money. It was the best paying job there was out. Was a construction job. And and then Paulie, he had an apartment down in Hollywood, and I had a key to the apartment. And we would go down there, and like I said, we go. It was a party. It was a party down that place every night. They were all they were all young guys. You know, we were all young guys, 23, 24, 25, and we were all. There was plenty of jobs around those days, so we were working. We had money. Anyway, one night, let me go into the. So one night, I got calling George up, who was my best friend out here, and he worked in a supermarket. He was a manager in a supermarket. I think it was Market Basket or something it was called in those days. I think they're out of business now, or they changed names. So he was supposed to go down to. I was supposed to meet him down in Hollywood. Meet Paulie and Such, and we just take it on Thursday nights. I usually used to go down there. So he calls me up like the last minute. And I'm going heading out that way, and he said he wasn't going to be able to make it because the market, they had to do some kind of audit or something, and he can't do it. So he's not going to be able to make it. So I said, well, okay. And I got to think, I don't want to drive all the way down to Hollywood. I'll stop off at this one of the joints we used to hang out, or we used to stop in, was called the Palomino. And it was Western type dancing, and it was over in North Hollywood. Well, that's what I said. So instead of going down to Hollywood, I went down to North Hollywood. And that's why I went in there, and I'm sitting down so I walked in, and I got a drink. I was sitting at the end of the bar, and down at the other end of the bar was these other people were sitting down there, and there was these two girls sitting down there. One was a big, tall, lanky blonde, and the other one was a little shorter, dark, Italian-looking or Mediterranean-looking one, anyway. And so I sat there and I was drinking my beer, and then she, I was almost finishing my beer. I was going to leave. And this girl, the little short, dark one from at the end of the bar, comes over, and she starts talking to me. And I said, oh, hello, hi, and I'm shooting a bull with her a little bit. And she says, oh, what's your name? Is your name Sal or Salvatore? And I'm looking at her kind of funny. I go, well, yeah, sure. I says, why? She said, well, that's my brother's name. I said, your brother's name is that? I said, what is he Italian? She says, well, yeah, he's Italian. So I said, well, oh, well, that's my name too. So we started talking, and then she asked me if I wanted to dance. So I said, well, okay. So I got up and I danced with her, and she was a real good dancer. She turned out to be pretty good. So I hung in with, so what the story is, I never left the place. I stayed there all night till it closed at 2 o'clock. When it closed, we went down to, I forget the name of this place now, what it was, but it was a restaurant. Usually when bars would close, you go to the restaurant. So I said, well, you want to go out and have some breakfast or something before you go home? She said, yeah, and her girlfriend was there, was Lorraine, was the name of the big, tall blonde. So we went there. And I was talking to her, find out that she lives in Reseda, which is the same town I'm living in, next door. And I talked to her some more. I find out she only lives like about 2 or 3 blocks away from me. Now, she was living in this house. I said, hey, I only live a couple of blocks away from her. She says, oh, okay. So we went down and we went to the breakfast place, and we had some breakfast there and everything. And then we came home, and I said, so she says, well, I said, give me your number, may I give you a call? So she gives me the number, and I take it, I write it down, and then I stick it in my pocket, and that was it. So I didn't call her. I didn't call her. I just, well, that was Thursday night. Well, Friday came. I had these guys. We had something lined up. We were going to do something down there, and then Saturday, so it winds up. I don't call her. And she only lives 2 blocks away from me, 2 or 3 blocks. So it comes the next. So the next week, I talking to my buddy George. I says, let's go. I kind of put her on a shelf off to the side here. You know, let's put this number on the side here. So I go. So we're gonna go. I said, well, where are we gonna go down tonight? I don't know. Someone said, I said, let's go. There's this place called the Riverside Rancho. I said, it's down on Riverside Drive. I said, why don't we go try that place out? I said, Paulie and them guys were doing something, and I said, that place isn't too far. We used to go to Vegas a lot. I mean, at the drop of a hat, he said, let's go to Vegas, and 3 or 4 of us would hop in the car, and away we go to Las Vegas, spend the weekend. We wouldn't even bother getting a hotel room. We just stay up all night, all the next day. So anyway, we wind up down at the Riverside Rancho. I walk in there, and I'm sitting. I grab a table in the corner, and I get a beer. And George, he grabs something. And then I look around out there on the dance floor. Who's out there? Marcy's on the dance floor. This girl I met right last week. She's on the dance floor. I went, oh, she's over here. So when they get done, I keep my eye on her, and then when she got done dancing with the guy, she went back to the table she was sitting at with this girl when Lorraine was at. So I said, well, I'll go over and talk to her now. So I go over there to talk to her, and I said, hey, hello, Mars, what are you doing over here? You know? And she's kind of a little mad. She said, well, why did you call me? I go, well, I didn't say. She says, I gave you my number. I said, well, yeah, but I had to stop making excuses why I didn't call her. And I said, well, I didn't get around to calling. I said, just because I had to do this or that or something. So then I says, well, you want to dance? She says, well, yeah. So I get up and I start dancing with her. And that's it. I spent the whole night just dancing with her. So I never met anybody else. So I stuck with her all night. So we danced. So that was it. It wasn't a date, but I had met her. So anyway, I think when it wound up, I said, well, I was going to go back home. And I said, why don't I meet you down? I think it was Bob Burns, I think was the name of that restaurant. We used to go to Bob Burns. Why don't I just meet you over there? And so I did. So I met her, and I think Lorraine was driving that night. They used to switch off who's driving. And that night, I guess it was Marcy's turn to drive. So she was driving, and I went and I went with her to go home. So then when we got to the restaurant and we shooting the bull, and I said, well, you might as well come home with me. I said, because I only live a couple of blocks away from you. Why should Lorraine go out of her way? You know. And so she agreed to let me take her home. And they had a rule that if they came with one girl, they would go home with them, you know. And I said, well, you're halfway home, you know, because Riverside Rancho was way on the other side of town, and now we're here. So she agreed to. I guess she trusted me. Big mistake. So I go out with her, and I take her, and so it wasn't a date, but it kind of almost wound up like a date, because I spent the whole night with her down at the dance, and then there. So then that's how I started going with her. I just kind of stumbled along one night after another, and I don't know how it happened, but it wasn't pretty soon I had a girlfriend, and I didn't even know it. So, and I don't know, I was doing that for about a month, I guess. I'd go down to Hollywood or I'd meet them, and then I would meet her, and then finally one night I thought, well, come on down, I'll introduce you to the guys, the other group of people I hang out with. So he did. Took her down to Hollywood, and this place there were all the wannabes there. All these young girls and guys too, I guess, had come out come out to Hollywood. They were going to make it big in the movies or something. And they came over to, like I said, to make it in the movies. So they come over. And like I said, it was a big, every day was party night down that place. I mean, somebody had one of those, I don't know how many units was in there. It was 20 or 30 units, whatever it was, but somebody was always doing something every night. If you want a party, that's where you go. I think it was Harrington Arms or something like that. I can't forget for sure what the name of the place was. But that's what that place was. All these young couples that come out west. They were going to make it in the movies or on the stage or something. And they, like I said, they come out and they hang out in these places. Not only that unit, a couple of other units, it was the same thing. So you just go there, and every night you could find a party in somebody's unit had something going. But that's how I got started. So how I met her, and eventually, like I said, I found out. How times went on, and that was it. So later on, things got a little more serious, and blah 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 blah. And one thing led to another, and that's how I got started.
So, kids?
Huh?
Kids?
Kids? What kids?
Your kids.
Oh, my kids. Oh, you want to know about my kids? Oh, yeah. Well, now it's. So then eventually I had to bring her over, show her to my mother and my father. So then. Anyway, after a while, after a couple of years, well, my father got sick because he had colon cancer, and so we had to. We were thinking about getting married, but we didn't do it because my father was sick. He got sick, and one thing led to another, so we had to hold off on trying to get married or doing it. So we waited until we waited for a while until then my father passed away, and then eventually about a year after that I had to hold off. I got married, and then I started having kids. And the first one I already had Frankie, because Frankie was I adopted him from her first marriage. So Frankie, adopted Frankie, and these other ones. So then we waited a while, then got married, and we moved to Reseda also, and then we got there. About a couple of years later, Gina was born. So Gina was the first one, first girl. And so we stayed with Gina for, I don't know how long it was, for a couple of years before we had Gina. And then it was a couple of years later, we had, a couple of years after that, we had Lora. And then we figured, well, we had enough kids by now, because now I made 3 kids. But then along came Christie. So she was a little upset when Christie came along, because she figured 3 kids was enough. And I said, well, that's all right. We can go one more anyway. So yeah, then we had Christie, and we did hold it there. So now we had 4 kids, and we had to buy a bigger house, one with 4 bedrooms instead of 3 bedrooms, and so we were stumbling along. Now we got 4 kids, and so anyway, I was then I was things were getting a little tight there, but we were making it all right. And then I got a deal came along, and I figured out how to go back working on airplanes again. They started to need aircraft mechanics. So I went down and I signed up. Went back to school there for a little bit, and I got my A&P license. And I went back and I got my A&P license. So in order to work on the airplanes, you need a license. So that's what happened. That's how I got. So I got that, and then one day, when things were, the lathing was getting kind of slow because when it rained, you couldn't work outside, and this and that, but eventually, on one day when it was raining, I put my pants and shirt on there, and with a jacket. I look a little presentable, and I went down to the airport, check and see about getting a job working as an aircraft mechanic. Because I used to see in the newspaper every weekend there would be an ad, aircraft mechanics needed every week. I said, I'm going to give this thing a shot. I could always go back to lathing and plastering. Maybe I'll give this a try. So the first weekend where I was free, I give it a try. So it was raining. That was a Monday. I remember it was raining. So I took the Monday off. Well, I didn't have to take it off. It looked like it was going to rain, and the only job I had was working outside. So I get I get in the car and I drive down to the airport. And this one is I went down where was the street I'm looking for the addresses, and there was one street looked like it had most of the offices was a Worldway West. So I said, well, I'll try that street first because that's the one has the most aircraft offices. So I go down there, and it's Worldway West, and and if I go down there, and the first one you come to on Worldway West, it was Flying Tigers. Which is FedEx now. Well, that used to be called Flying Tigers. So then from there I went to it was Continental Airlines, and then I went from Continental. I went over. Then the next office there was it was American Airlines. But the one on the end, the last one on the street, was Trans World Airlines. Now I didn't know which one from another there, which one at that time, how they were set up. But anyway, I go there, and the one on the end was Trans World, so I went all the way down to the end of the block, or the end of the road there, and it was Trans World Airlines, and so I went in there, apply for a job. I said, well, I'll start here and I'll work my way out, work my way back, work my way out of here. So that's what I did. I went there, and I said I passed Flying Tigers, I passed Continental, I passed American, and I got to the end, and it's TWA. So in those days there was no I wouldn't say seniority, but everything was loose. You can just drive up to the office. There was nothing to stop you. So I did. I went down to the end, and it was TWA, and I went in there, and I said, I understand you guys are looking for maintenance people, and he said, well, yeah. He said, where'd you get the address? Oh, it's in a newspaper here. I had the newspaper in my hand. I said, right here. It says. So anyway, I take the newspaper, and I go in there, and so the guy says, all right, well, you have to take a test. I said, okay, give me the test. So I went in, and I took this. It was a 100-question test. It was easy. So I passed the test for the aircraft mechanic, and then So then the guy, I come out, he scans it, and he says, okay, well, you got to go down and you have to take a physical. I says, a physical for what? He said, well, if you want to get hired, you have to take a physical. I said, okay, I'll take the physical. So I go down to take the physical. So I go down, I take a physical, I come back. When I come back, he says, this piece of paper they had given me, when I went down they had filled it out, and now it's running like about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so they checked off, and they send me back to the TWA, to the office. And I get there, and the guy, he looks at it and everything, and he says, well, he says, you're gonna have to get it checked out by the chief maintenance inspector, or what, the boss, or whatever he was. So I said, well, whatever you want to do. So anyway, I go back, and the guy looks it over and everything. He says, okay. He said, when do you want to start? Do you want to start tomorrow? And I go, whoa, wait a minute. I just come here to just see if I could get it. I just can't quit. I got to give him notice to this guy I'm working with. And he says, well, he says, you want to work? I said, I got to give me at least a week. So they gave me a week to come back. So I signed. So I did it. I signed it, and there I was hired. So I come home, and Marcy says, well, where you been? You've been gone all day. I said, well, they've been running me from one office to the other one. I says, and she says, well, why? What's going on? I said, well, they hired me. She said, they hired you? I went, yeah. She says, who hired you? I said, this TWA hired me. She says, TWA hired you? I went, yeah. TWA hired me. So anyway, TWA hired me, and that was it. A week later, I told this guy I was working with, this Engelman, he was a plastering contractor we were working with, told him that that was it. I was going to have to quit. I'm going to go try working on airplanes. I said, maybe I'll be back, or maybe I won't be. I don't know. Let's see how this works out. So that was it. That's to make the long story shorter, however you want to say it. That was it. I never went back. I stayed working for TWA for the next 27 or 28 years. That was it. I never left. And that's how I got up to working with TWA. And that's it, as far as that goes. And the rest is history, as they say, right? And then these kids started growing, and they liked traveling, and Marcy, she liked traveling, and so we started, eventually, I didn't realize it, but actually for traveling with passes and everything, TWA happened to be the best one, because they traveled all over the world. That's what that TWA stood for, Trans World Airlines. And so now I had this ticket in my pocket all the time. I could start flying all over the world eventually. And then that's what happened with it. And so that takes you up until then eventually after 27 years, I retired, and I retired from TWA. And so now I've been down there working on airplanes now for over 15 years. It's going on 20 years since it don't seem like it could possibly be that long, but it is. It was 20 years ago 1995 was when the last time I worked on an airplane. And somewhere along the way, Frankie got the bug. He wanted to be a mechanic, and so we wound up sending him to school. He went to Northrop over there at the airport. And he wound up getting his A&P license, and he wound up working for the airlines. So that's about it as far as that goes. I'm going to end it right here. Okay. Unless something else happens.
What were some of your favorite places you've traveled to?
Oh, well, I've been favorite places. The two favorite best ones were, or something different, was the time we went to the North Pole. We went to the North Pole. That was three. Yeah, that was 3 weeks, 18 days or 19 days. Actually, it was 3 weeks trip. Went to the North Pole, and on a ship, we stopped all the way going up, to Iceland, and Greenland, and went to, hit all the places up north. And then the second best one actually happens to be the one we went. We went to. We went to the South Pole. Went down to Antarctica, and that was a good trip too, because got to see Antarctica, all the big the ice cubes, not the ice cubes. They were ice cubes, all right. They were, but yeah,
Icebergs.
those are. But what?
Icebergs.
Oh yeah, the icebergs. Yeah, down in. Yeah, I didn't see any icebergs going up north, but I seen a lot of them icebergs going down south. They were there. Oh man. And the penguins, a lot of the penguins and polar bears and all that stuff. I saw all that stuff. So I saw a lot of stuff during the travels around the world there. And so that was about it. We went to every major capital in Europe, starting from England, and we went to France, Germany, all of them. Eventually, we've been to Rome, who knows how many times. Been to Sicily, half a dozen or more times. Spent some times over there. Went and found our heritage there, and where they came from. And so it turned out pretty good with all these different places we traveled to. And the kids, they got to travel a lot of places too. But anyway, it's been a pretty good life, I guess you can say. It's too bad Marcy didn't last a little longer, because she was really getting to enjoy it. She just went a little too soon. Had a few more years left she could have used. But that's about it.
What were some of your favorite books and movies when you were younger?
Books and movies? I used to like, they were all black and white movies. No. I liked the ones with Humphrey Bogart was in them. And I could mention them, you wouldn't even know. There was one called Sierra Madre. That was all black and white movies. And yeah, mostly detective type movies and stuff. Not the singing and dancing. Well, some of them they were all right, but most of them were just.
What about that one with the villain that was mean? What was that?
The villain that was mean.
Ming.
Ming.
The bad guy. His name was Ming.
And
what was the name of that?
I don't know what movie you're talking about. No,
It's not a movie. It was a show or something.
Show.
He was the one that watched them, not me.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, the one where they had the great special effects with a bottle with flares sticking out of it when it was a rocket ship.
Oh, that was in the movies. We used to go on a weekend. On the weekends when I was a kid, you'd go. It was Ming. The guy was Ming. Buck Rogers and Ming. Yeah, it was how corny they were. Yeah, the rocket ship was just a bottle of fizz.
Oh, wow.
And they would be taking that, and it would fizz, and Ming took off after Buck Rogers, and that was their special effects back in those days. Yeah, Ming. Yeah, Ming.
What about your favorite music artists?
Oh, music. Well, naturally, you got to throw in all the Italian guys. Sinatra, and Dean Martin, and all of them. Were all, the Italians were big when I was growing up, like you kids. Now, the Italian artists and everything were all big names. They were, yeah. They were. like the heavyweight championship of the world. It was Rocky Marciano. He was a champion. And he was Italian, and it was Rocky Graziano. He was another Italian. He was a champion boxer, and then there was the other boxer. The Italians all now they're all black or they're all Mexican now, but back in those days they were all Italian. Yeah, most of the singers were, and then of course there was Gina Lola Brigida, and then there was Sophia Loren. She was big then too, back in the 50s and 60s. Yeah.
You know, my mom after Gina.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, but that's what your mother thinks.
Oh.
Yeah. She thought that. Yeah. No, yeah. But she was a movie star then. Yeah. Gene.
Well, my mom said you were either gonna name her after Gina Locascio, or whatever the last name is, or the blonde with the big boobs. What was her name?
Oh, that was Marilyn Monroe.
Not Marilyn Monroe. The
No.
other one you said, wasn't she
Oh.
blonde?
Yeah, I forget the other name. The other one was forget her name. Anyway, yeah, it was it was a good time. Yeah.
What were some hobbies outside of work that you like?
So outside, I really didn't have any really hobbies outside of work. I never. Most of my hobby were my kids, I guess.
Spending time with family?
Me. What was his
Yeah.
hobby?
And Anthony, my number one over there. My number one
Number
chooch.
one.
Yeah,
Number one boy.
my boy. Yeah.
Right. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, this is about it right now. I just,
Any advice for the future?
yeah, if you got something, do it. Do it now while you still can, because the years go by pretty fast, and pretty soon you get to the point now. Things you wanted to do, you can't do because the times slip by, and that's what's happened to me. That happens to everybody, I guess. Yeah, as the time slips by, and you didn't get to do things that you could have or should have, but didn't do it. But like I never got to climb up Machu Picchu. I don't even know what that is. All right, I didn't see that, right? And it's a lot of things, but mostly everything I got to do. But there's some stuff I didn't get to do. But I don't really feel cheated, but it's I should have did a few other things. I said I let them slip by. But I don't know. It's not over yet, but it's getting close.
No, you got another
Yeah, sure.
good 20 years on you?
Yeah, well, call me my best buddy. My buddy was my best man at the remember we got remarried and everything. Malpedi. Well, he's not doing so good right now. He's got Alzheimer's disease. His daughter called me up, and you remember him, Mal? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be.
Yeah. Well, he don't know who he is. So, his time ran out. So, that's about it.
Okay. Give you a rest.
Yeah.